I promise to love you. I promise to protect you. I promise to honor you. John and I made those promises and so many others, but for most of the more than 20 years we spent together, we never expected to say I do and have those words and promises carry any legal weight. Of course, that all changed in 2013 with the Windsor ruling. I know that meant the world for many of you here tonight, too. Suddenly, we could make those promises legal and have them recognized by our government. So we did. I do. I promise to love you. It wasn't love at first sight for me and John, but it was pretty darn close. We fell in love the third time we met, and so we always like to say it was love at third sight. We promised to love each other, and we kept that promise for almost 21 years. I do. I do. I promise to protect you. We did all those things you do to keep a loved one safe, happy, and healthy. John's diagnosis with ALS in 2011 certainly upended our world, but it also reinforced the importance of this promise. I never expected to be a caregiver before the age of 50, especially not for the love of my life. But I can think of no better way to keep my promise to protect my love than to care for him 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, when he could no longer do that for himself. As John's health took a turn for the worse, we made the decision to get married. As you saw in the video, it wasn't too glamorous. Just your typical romantic ceremony on a Baltimore tarmac. But I've never loved John more than I did that day. I do. I promise to honor you. Honoring someone means many different things. It's those little things, like how you talk to and about that person. It's big things, like how you celebrate life events. It's how you remember that person when they're gone. Many people honor a loved one in a cemetery, and that was always John's wish. He loved a particular cemetery in Cincinnati, partly because it's an absolutely beautiful and peaceful place, but more importantly because his family plot is there. So it seems obvious that I would honor John with a memorial on his family plot, doesn't it? But I can't. When John's grandparents purchased the plot, they added a provision that only direct descendants and legally married spouses could be buried or memorialized on that plot. Because the state of Ohio to this day refuses to recognize our marriage and wants nothing more than to dishonor our relationship, I can't be memorialized alongside my husband. John kept his promises to love, honor, and protect me by refusing to be memorialized on his family plot unless I could be eventually by his side, where I'd been for almost 21 years. What a statement of commitment. Jim, I don't want a memorial without you beside me. Yeah, I was pretty damn lucky to have him in my life. In a way, it's fitting that John and I got married on a plane. In a previous job, I traveled on business almost every week. I felt like I was constantly on an airplane. At the point the wheels left the runway on takeoff, I would close my eyes, think of John, and say to myself, I love you, baby. Be home soon. It was yet one more promise I made to him. A few months after John died, I found myself on an airplane waiting on the runway for takeoff. When the wheels left the ground, without thinking, it was my tradition after all, I immediately closed my eyes and thought of John. And then I promptly fell to pieces. I realized I could no longer promise to come back to him, but I could still promise to love him and honor him. I still do that. I closed my eyes and made those promises when I left Cincinnati yesterday, and I'll make them again tomorrow when I leave Houston. I make those promises every single day. I wish you were here to see how far we've come. This June, we could be celebrating marriage equality coast to coast. What a joyful day that will be, one many of us never expected to see. But we have to remember, marriage equality isn't the prize. As HRC knows, it isn't the end of the fight for the LGBT community. It's a step, a very significant step, and one worth celebrating, but still just one step on our path to full equality as Americans. John and I were very lucky. My family loved John, and John's family loves me. We weren't kicked out of our homes. Our families never tried to fix us. We never lost a job because of who we were. We never felt the need to hide our relationship out of fear. We were never denied service in a business, and we were never physically attacked for the way we were born. Leela Elkhorn couldn't say that. Matthew Shepard couldn't say that. Harvey Milk couldn't say that. Many of you in this room can't say that. And far too many of our brothers and sisters across this country can't say that. That's why I'm proud to stand with the Human Rights Campaign. That's why I'm proud to be a federal club member. We have to stand up, not just for ourselves, but for every LGBT person who has lived a life of fear, not known the joy of living the true life they wanted or deserved, or, worst of all, lost his or her life, or took his or her own life because others were blinded by hate. I'm humbled to be able to play a small part in moving that fight forward. When I walk up those Supreme Court steps in just a couple weeks, I make all of you 3 promises. I do. I promise to love everyone in the LGBT community, my community. I promise to protect you by standing up and fighting for our rights. I promise to honor you by respecting and celebrating what makes us different while at the same time makes us the same, our humanity. We, all of us, are worth fighting for, and it's the greatest honor of my life to be here tonight in John's memory. Thank you all very much.